Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Real, Raw, and Honest. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. I want to make a clarification before we get started today, and that is this. In no way do I want to make it appear that there are some people who come from perfect homes. I don't want you to believe that, there's some people who just get off without having any difficulties from their home life. Nobody's parents are perfect. Everybody has some things that they're going to need to look at and going to have to deal with. But I say all of that to say this: as we go through life, there are some families that you can come from. For an example, those that have a lot of complex trauma. Like I said, I call my own home life one where I was swimming in a fishbowl of stress and anxiety every single day because I didn't know what it was that I was going to face. I would be bullied at school, but would I be harmed at home? Would there be anger that would be displayed when I was at home, where there was just seemed to be no place for me to be able to go, where it seemed really, really comfortable and really safe? And I had nobody to talk to that would help me to be able to process the things that I was going through. It was up to me to try to decide those things and try to figure those things out on my own. Well, what I want to do today is I want to talk about what it's like to grow up in a home where it would be considered not a home of complex trauma, where it would be considered a home where you're being aided and helped. So, AKA a healthy home. You're coming from a healthy home environment. What does that look like? And, if you're a young parent and you're wanting to figure out what it's like to be able to provide a healthy home life for your child, well, we're going to take a look at that today. And I want to say this, you know, kids, when they know that they're loved, they do better. When they know that they're not inconvenient, they do better. When they don't feel like they're the problem, they do better. And so, what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at a healthy home environment and what happens in a healthy home environment when there is those issues of uncertainty that come up. We've looked at that in the last couple of weeks over kids that grew up in a complex trauma home, in a home where there was difficulty and stress and anxiety and uncertainty, even in their home life, and um, how that affects their ability to process and their ability to go through uncertainty. So today we're going to look at the healthy family. We're going to look at the healthy home. And so the first thing is all children feel fear at some point in time. All children will have some, because life is unknown. You've not gone through anything. There's going to be areas in your life where you're like, "Oh my goodness, this is a big deal and I don't know what to think and I don't know what to do." All kids feel fear, whether it's from facing a really big dog for the first time, or having a parent that is ill, or all of a sudden a parent disappears because of divorce or illness or some other reason. All children face fear. So there's three things that will help a child in this process. Three things that will help the child. And the first one is that a child's ability to handle and maybe even to some degree understand the unknown and the uncertainty without fear is really dependent upon the kind of relationship, or can I say the security they find in their relationship with their family, their parents. So if a child feels secure, if a child feels like they're able to have a conversation with mom or with dad, or to ask the questions that they have, that they maybe even feel comfortable enough to just curl up beside mom and dad and just allow the stress that they feel to be carried by the adult because they feel safe and secure, that's definitely going to benefit the child. So that's the first thing that really helps, is the kind of relationship that they have with the parent. Is their parent a safe individual or not? And if they are feeling very secure with their parent, if they have a secure attachment with their parent, there's this sense of security that is not based on their environment. It's not based on what is happening, what's going on the things they know, the things they don't know, the things they see, the things they can't see. But really, rather, what it is on the fact that mom and or dad can handle the situation. and mom or dad are going to be there for them. That's the that's one thing to look at. And so that's what doesn't happen in a household where there's complex trauma. You see, the child doesn't feel securely attached to the parent because mom and dad are insecure themselves. They struggle with a lot of areas, or they struggle with some areas, or they make the child feel insecure and frightened and fearful. So they don't have that secure attachment. They don't feel like mom and dad can handle it, because if they see mom or dad breaking down and having an anger eruption or moving into other destructive behavior, that's not secure. And then that tells the child mom and dad don't know how to handle the situation. And then if the parent can't be there for the child, then that's a problem. But in a healthy home, the parent, even if they don't know how to handle the situation, they are going to be able to think through it properly. And so the child feels secure. The child feels safe in that environment. They feel like mom and dad can handle this, or mom or dad can handle this, and that they're going to be there for me. They're going to help me through this thing. They're going to do their best to protect me. They're going to do their best to shield me from what's coming at me. I might be afraid, but I can trust that somebody bigger and stronger than me has it under control. So the kind of connection that a child has with the parent is a key piece in any kind of uncertainty that's coming into the family. Having that secure attachment to mom and dad, having a safe parent, having a safe place to be able to go, to be able to cry, to be able to melt down, those are all really important things, and those are provided in a healthy home. And another thing, or the second thing, is parents will give a detailed explanation of what is about to happen. In a healthy home, the parent will sit down, have a conversation with the child, and say, okay, sweetheart, you need to understand that daddy is going to be going away for a while, or daddy didn't come home, and this is why, and I know it's going to be difficult for all of us. And I want to let you know that anytime you have any questions or any concerns, or you're just even feeling sad or angry about the situation, you can come to me and you can talk to me. See, that is a detailed explanation. And maybe if dad is sick or mom is sick and mom and dad, or mom or dad has gone into the hospital, it's having that conversation and go, well, this is what's going on. It's not hiding things. There's no secrecy in it. You don't need to give the full explanation, but there is that safe space where explanations are given and questions are answered. Maybe they've been through it before. If there's a loss of job or something like that, maybe the parent has already been through that and they know it's just temporary. It's going to be difficult for a time or two, for a season or two, but we're going to get back on our feet and we're going to be able to move forward with it. So it's just having that conversation. That's going to help to prepare the child, and it's going to help the child to prepare emotions. It's going to help the child to be able to prepare and give them tools to know what to handle in the situation that they're facing. And just the fact that the parent is there and calm and capable is going to enable that child to be able to stand in it, because they don't have to carry the weight of it themselves, and they don't need to try to figure it out on their own. They don't need to try to put pieces together in a childlike way, because they have an adult who's going to help them do that. So these are two things. So the first one is the kind of relationship that the child has with the parent. Is it a secure relationship, a safe relationship? Is it an open communication conversation? And then the second one is that detailed explanation, the ability to sit down and have a conversation and answer the questions to the best of your ability, so that the child has a better understanding of what it is that is going on in their world. It's shifted things, maybe whatever it is. And so, like I said, no parents are perfect, but I will say this, that these are some things that will make a big difference in how that child will be able to handle the uncertainty when they're older, as they grow up and they're on their own and they have to face it, because we will revert most often back to the very thing that we did when we were children if we have not learned other tools. So when parents give children tools, it enables the child to be able to go, okay, I might not have all the things I need to do, and maybe I don't even understand it all completely, but I have some tools, and the tools that I don't have, I know that I can go back to my parent and they're going to help me find the right tools that I need in order to be able to process this. So healthy homes. And the third thing is in a situation where the parents are also facing the unknown. Maybe it's in a health crisis, maybe it's in a death or some other situation where the parent is also facing the unknown. The child often takes their cues from their parents. They learn how their parents handle the situation, and that's how they will handle it as well. I remember very clearly being about 12 years old, 13 years old, coming home from a really bad day at school where there was just one act of bullying after another, and it was just not a good day. And I remember going to the fridge and opening the fridge door, and in the fridge door was my dad's rye bottle, and I thought, well, this is how dad handles bad days. So I remember taking that bottle of rye and taking a drink out of it. And I remember the feel that it gave me. I remember how I felt it in my neck and in my shoulders. And I went, this is good. This is good. And so it started for me a pattern, a process of this is how I handle things I don't know what to do with, is that if I take a drink, I'll feel that relaxation just hit my body and like a wave. And then I'm like, I'm good, right? Well, except for the Lord's intervention, I probably would have ended up to be an alcoholic, like my dad. But thank God, God intervened and he met me in a difficult time of my life, and he did this amazing thing in me and delivered me from all desire to drink, all desire to do drugs. But it would have been a setup for me to have a life of addictions in a couple of different areas, probably drugs and alcohol, right? And so you learn you learn what your parents have done. And so if you grew up in an unhealthy home, if you grew up in a complex trauma home, you're going to look at those things and you're going to go, well, this is how mom and dad handle it. They get mad, they yell, they scream, they drink, they do drugs, they go out, they party, they neglect things, they sit in, they don't bath, they don't like you, they don't eat, they overeat, they do these things. And this is how you learn to handle it, is by the things that your parents do. So if you're in a healthy home, you're going to look at your parents and you're going to go, this is how mom and dad handle things that that are uncertain. They are going to sit together and they're going to pray. They're going to sit together and they're going to make a list. They're going to sit together and they're going to talk about it and come up with a plan on how best to go further in the uncertainty, so that it will be the less traumatic on the children, the less difficult on their marriage. And so these are some things that will happen in a healthy home. And so when you come in from that kind of a home where you're watching your parents have healthy responses to uncertainty, you begin to realize that how your parents respond, it feels good. It feels good. So your security is in watching how your parents are responding. They're not melting down. They're not yelling. They're not screaming. They're not violent. They're not hitting. They're not drinking. They're not doing drugs. And so that is a healthy response. And so you can look at that and go, that feels secure to me. There's security in their response. And so that helps the child as well. And what this does, all of these things, when we look at it, the kind of relationship that a child has with the parents, if it's secure, if it's safe, that ability to sit down with the child and have that open dialogue and to look at hear the explanation from the parent, that the parent's willing to have a conversation explaining exactly what's going on, being able to model right responses and right behavior in the face of uncertainty. What that does for the child is it makes those things that are uncertain so much less scary, right? The unknown then becomes less scary because you've watched somebody walk through it. And it makes it become more known, if I can say that. And that will carry you even into adulthood, because you'll stop and you'll go, well, it's uncertain and I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I know this. I know that because of my history, I don't need to have this environment where I am walking around fearful and stressed out, and it'll help you to find skills and tools. It makes you more readily available to go get help, to go get counsel, to go sit in an environment, in a group where other people who are going through the same things that you are going through, you can talk to one another and you can walk together. And so that is a big issue right there. That's a big thing. If you've got other people who understand you, that you don't need to explain why you feel the way that you do, and this can be with every any situation, finding those people. And when you come from a healthy home where you could watch other people's responses and hear the wisdom of mom and dad that they're willing to pour into you, when you're an adult, you'll go down that same road. Whereas if you grew up in that complex trauma home, as we've already looked at, you're going to go down that road. You're going to do those things that your parents did, or how you learned how to deal with it when you were a kid. And so what happens with complex trauma children is they live in this state of ongoing danger. It's like everything is uncertain. They don't know. It's scary. What's happening, what's not happening. And there's this danger that seems to be lurking around every corner, especially when you're in a situation of uncertainty, because of the neglect that they faced, because of the abuse, because of maybe the abandonment, because of the alcoholism or the drug addiction, whatever it is that you are going to find yourself in that place of complex trauma. So we respond out of what we have, and we respond out of what we've known. And so watch how you're responding to the things that are happening around you. And then, like I said, go get the help that you need. And that's easier for somebody who came out of a healthy home than for somebody who did not. Because there's a lot of shame about getting help. You're not supposed to talk to anybody. You're not supposed to share your story. I was always told everybody, you can't talk to anybody because they have it worse than you do. And I remember going, they have it worse, right? And you're looking at that and you're hearing that and you're going, it's not like my parents did everything wrong. I'm not saying that, but the reality is when you come from that complex trauma home, you are taught to live in secrecy. You are taught to live in silence. You are taught not to share. You are taught to hold the family together, and that your responses and your answers and the things that you say will or will not do that and help that process. So that's one of the areas where that complex trauma and coming from a healthy home, how they differ, right? And so if the unknown situations for somebody who comes out of a healthy home, in unknown situations, they have somebody. But in complex trauma children, they don't have anybody, and there's nobody to connect to. There's no one to help to give them tools. There's no one to have the conversation with. So the thing is when you have to face things alone as a child, it's really difficult to make adult decisions when you're 6 years old. It's impossible to make adult decisions when you're 13 years old, right? So you learn how to function and you learn how to survive. Well, we don't want to survive. We want to thrive. And we want to live in a place where we're getting healthier every day, where we're allowing God in to work on our behalf. And, when you come from that complex trauma home, you have very limited skills. You have very limited strength. You don't know how to respond. What's the proper way? You're always questioning, did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Did I respond the right way in areas of uncertainty? Did I ask the right questions, right? So you can have all of these things that are going on. And the thing is, when they try to solve it, they just keep getting hurt. And so those are some of the areas that we struggle with when we come from complex trauma. But the opposite of that is true for children who come from a healthy home. So I hope that helps. If you have been in a situation where you come from that complex trauma home and you are an adult now, and maybe you need to reparent yourself, well, reparent yourself. Do the work that you need to do. Go to the library, get some books, join a group, go to therapy. You can contact me on YouTube and we will set up a time. But know that there are ways that you can learn some tools and learn to undo the things that have happened to you and get the healing that you need. God wants to bring the healing into your life, and He wants to see you thrive. And so thank you so much for listening. And I would appreciate it if you would like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. All of those things help me quite a bit. And I appreciate every one of you who joins me on this. We all go through stuff, and it's easier to go through stuff together than it is to go through stuff on your own. So thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.